everyone. Welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's community talk show. We are back again with someone else from the community to talk about what they do. And today that person is Evie Kiehle. Evie is a senior at Brattleboro Union High School. She's just recently published a book. Yes, that's true. And it's called Where Are the Women? A simple guide to the underrepresentation of women in American politics, its causes, its consequences, and what you can do. Evie is on the BUHS cross-country team and the tennis team. She's a Nordic skier, and she's been a camper and a counselor at Green Mountain Camp for Girls here in Dummerston. Welcome, Evie.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on the show.
Yes.
We're really anxious to hear about your book, which you have with you, which we're going to show, which was just recently published. And you were born and raised in Brattleboro.
I was.
You went K through 12. So you have a good feel for the town, and you have the friends that have gone along with you.
Yeah.
When you were in grade school, were you a reader at that point?
I was a big reader in elementary school. I remember I would go to the library every week, and I would get like a stack of like 7 books, and then I would read them all in that week, and then I'd go back and get more. So I was very into reading when I was little.
Did you go to the public library as well?
Yes, I did. I went to the...
A great kids section up there.
They do have one.
A teen room, yes. Who's favorite authors?
Favorite authors? I remember... There were 2 like fantasy series that I really liked when I was little. I really liked his Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. I love those books, and I just recently reread them like as I think a couple months ago, and they're still so good.
They're so good. I've read them. Yeah. I've read them twice as well. Did you watch the series on TV?
I haven't watched the series, but I want to. I'm scared, I think. I'm scared that they're not going to do it justice.
I agree with you. And they did one some years ago that just didn't, it just wasn't the same. No, I think that those are real classics.
Yes.
When you were young, did you do any writing?
I did a little bit. I do remember my mom had like an old computer, and I would sometimes, I'd be like, can I do some writing, Mom? And then I just sit at it and sort of type things. But I would always end up deleting everything, and like it never went anywhere, but I was interested in writing.
Probably around those years, Evie, you were going to Green Mountain Girls Camp. Yeah. And I've heard so many wonderful things about it.
I think my first year was in between elementary school and middle school. And then after those 3 years as a camper, I spent 2 years as a counselor, which I think was a really transformative experience.
Yeah, how? In what way?
Well, I was really shy in like elementary school and middle school, and I was a counselor right after like 2020. It was like 2021. So there were still masks and everything, but I'd been fully remote the year before, so I hadn't been around people a ton, and I just was feeling really lonely and nervous. But I really just had such a great time there. I felt like I really enjoyed, the job is so rewarding, like working with little kids and being able to make a difference. And I feel like that was the first time that I saw myself really as a leader and someone who could make just such an impact on people's lives. And I'm just so grateful for that experience. I think it's changed my life and it's helped me become more outgoing and sort of get out of my shell and get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said, isn't there, about becoming a leader, no matter what group you're in. You know, the kind of responsibility that comes with it, but also, as you say, bringing you out of your shell.
Yeah.
Did you make friends there that you've carried through with?
Yes, I have.
Because it's not just Brattleboro,
Yeah, it's not just Brattleboro. It's like girls from all over. And I think that's awesome.
As far as being at BUHS, you're a senior now.
I am a senior.
You're a senior, and you're going to be graduating.
I will be.
And you're waiting to hear from colleges.
I am waiting to hear back.
Yeah, have you heard back from anyone yet?
I've heard back from UVM, and I've heard back from Simmons. I got into both, so those are definitely options that I'm considering.
When you were thinking about colleges and where you were going to apply and that kind of thing, what kind of experience are you hoping for? You know, how do you envision going into college?
I want to have an experience where I learn a lot. I'm really interested in political science. I want to learn about political science and what it is, what I can do about it, and things like that. But I also, so I want to have like sort of rigorous academic learning, but I also want to have fun too. So I think a balance of those is really what I want from college.
Yeah. Do they still have interviews when you go to colleges?
I think for some colleges,
Yeah.
for some of the Ivies, I know they do.
I remember, and one of the reasons I asked you that question, I remember someone giving my daughter the advice of, when you go for an interview, think that you're interviewing them.
Yeah, I've heard that advice
Have you?
before.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that just shifts it a little bit. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
It puts the attention on what are you after? What are you looking for? Yeah. Okay, so you're still at BUHS. You've done a lot of different things there. You were on the school newspaper. You're part of National Honor Society.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. And being on the paper, what kinds of things did you do for the newspaper?
I write articles. We do 4 newspapers per year, and so when you're on it, you are expected to write at least 1 per quarter. And I'm also a co-editor on the newspaper, so I help edit articles once they've been turned in. And yeah.
So in terms of things like that, like editing skills, do you have a teacher who's there helping you with that?
Mr. Moore, who's he runs it and he teaches journalism. He formats everything. And as far as editing, I mainly just check for grammar and stuff in the articles before they're formatted.
I bet that's a great way to keep up with your
It
grammar.
is a good way to keep up. And
yes. And at the same time, I imagine that all of your English classes have brought you to that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's grammar, vocabulary, punctuation, all of that stuff.
They definitely have. I think.
Evie, in your time, let's say at the high school, but maybe even before that, have there been any teachers that have really been an influence on you?
There have. I remember, I'm thinking, in middle school, I had a science teacher who was I had Mr. McDermott.
Oh, Jake McDermott, yes.
Yes, he's an amazing science teacher, and that was just such a good experience. I remember, I think it was at a parent-teacher conference, that he told my parents that I could be president someday, and that was very encouraging, I think. But yeah, I really enjoyed that class. I thought he was an amazing teacher. So that's definitely one of the teachers that I look up to. And then as far as in high school, Tessa Anders, the head of the social studies department, the last semester I was a teaching assistant for her, which was really fun. And I've taken law with her and I've taken diversity with her. So I really look up to her, and she wrote me a letter of recommendation for college. So I really admire her.
Yeah, that's great. And those different subjects.
Yeah, different subjects.
Things that you were very interested in. Now, were you interested beforehand, or did she evoke that from you?
I think I was interested beforehand a little bit, but taking those classes just sort of made me more interested.
In relation to the book, what was your impetus? What was the driving force that brought you to that?
The driving force was I took a sociology class last year when I was a junior, and at the end of it, we got to do a final project on just any topic of our choice, and I chose to do a topic about women in media and the representation of female characters in movies and television, and of female journalists on shows like this where you see them. And I learned, when I was doing this research, I learned about some things. I learned about political efficacy, which is how likely someone is to vote and how likely they are to believe that their voice matters in politics and that they can make a difference. And I learned that the sexualization of women in media can lead to self-objectification, and that can lead to a lower political efficacy. So women who experience this phenomenon are less likely to see themselves as political leaders and less likely to want to vote or run for office. And combined with the fact that women are underrepresented in politics, these two things, I remember learning this and being really shocked and really fascinated too, because I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people think, when you think of that, women aren't fully represented. You think maybe it's all to do with voter bias or stuff like that. But one of the key things about it that I've learned through doing this project is that a lot of it is about that women simply don't see politics as a place for them, and they don't see it as a world that they can enter. They don't see office as something that's worth running for. And I think that's a really big problem. And so, you know, upon finishing that specific project for sociology, I was still really interested in this topic. And I did a similar project in law about this, just like a small essay. And then I got the idea that I could research this and I could write something about it. I could put it all into a little book that, you know, would sort of summarize all that I've learned and could be used to teach other people about what I've learned.
Yes, and as a guide.
Yes, as a guide.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you could talk just a little bit more about your process of writing the book and the research you had to do.
So the research, I remember I went to the school library and I got like a stack of like 4 books, and I think the librarians were like, huh. And I read those. I ordered some books online that I was interested in that like had to do with it. So I did some reading. I looked on a lot of websites and I like kept track of my sources, and I took notes from every source and then like color coded them and rearranged them until I was ready in about August to start actually writing it. And I sort of did it a little chaotically. I just would like put in like sections in until I like knew what the order would be, and then I sort of refined it from there.
Interesting, yes. That's so you didn't have an outline that you were following. You were doing it more organically.
More organically.
Yes, yes. And as you were going along, I'm assuming that obviously you were learning more, but did you find your feelings about these different issues changing?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I got more interested and more passionate about them and about making a difference and, you know, changing things, making sure women are more represented, making politics a more hospitable place sort of subject.
Did you have an audience in mind when you were writing it?
When I first had the idea, I really wanted it to be for like younger girls, like maybe in elementary school or middle school. I think maybe it's a little more, I don't know, there's more writing in it now, and I think maybe it's for more middle schoolers and high schoolers. But I think that is the audience that I want. I want, you know, girls who are my age and younger to read it and, you know, see this problem.
As you said, once you knew about it, it opened up a door for you. Yeah. And so the younger, for it to reach younger people makes a really big difference. So you were taking law in high school?
Yes, it was American law.
And
I think it was a dual enrollment class, so you got college credit for taking it in high school.
Did you like it?
I really did enjoy it.
You did?
Yes.
That's interesting. That's why someone said that you could be president, probably. Yeah. So enjoying law, I think a lot of people would want to take law for means to an end, but the actual enjoying of it, I think, is really something.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about it?
Well, I think in that class, I'm trying to remember what we talked about. We did a lot of we went through the Constitution, looked at the Bill of Rights, and then we talked a lot about the prison system, which was really interesting. And then we went on a lot of cool field trips.
Really?
We actually had a chance to speak with 2 men who had been wrongfully convicted and who had spent 20 years in prison, and we were able to speak to them and how that experience was for them.
Yeah.
And that was really awesome. And at the end of the class, we also did a mock trial, which was really fun.
Wow. The people that you talked with who had been wrongfully accused, did you do a question and answer with them?
Yeah, it was.
You interviewed them?
Yeah, it was sort of more of a conversation. But you know, our whole class, we went to Boston actually to sort of see a trial. We didn't see much of it, but we also had this opportunity to speak with these people, and it was really awesome.
Yeah, I'll bet.
It was a really, I think, powerful experience because they'd been through a lot, and they were so, they were just so strong in there. They'd been through so much, but they were still really strong people, and they still had such a love for life and such an appreciation.
And willing to talk with you.
Yes, a willingness to talk with us. I remember one of the men, he went around and shook our hands just for talking to him and meeting him. Yeah. And it was a really good experience.
Oh, yeah. Any other teachers or not even just teachers, other people in the community perhaps, who have really made an impression on you?
I think my dad, definitely, because he has a bookstore downtown called Book Lovers.
Yep.
And I remember being a little kid, our house was full of books, like just stacks of books. Our basement was completely full of them.
Yep.
And he always had this dream of being a bookstore owner that I remember him talking about. And then he accomplished it, and I feel like that's so inspirational to me, to, have seeing this person that I look up to having accomplished this goal that he's had for years, and he really put all the effort into it. He did a lot of work to, make sure he got the space, he set up all the complicated things like logistics and stuff. And so I really admire him for that, and I think I really look up to him.
And this is Ian Kiehle.
Yes, Ian Kiehle.
This is Ian Kiehle, who has Book Lovers, which is down on Flat Street. I think it's where the old Insight photography used to be. And Ian also has worked at BCTV off and on over the years. Yeah. So you've got, and your brother as well has come
my little brother has
to video
gone
camp.
to video camp.
Yes. So it's a family thing.
Yes,
it's
a family
pretty great.
thing.
It's pretty great, and it is a great bookstore. And I think it'd be wonderful for folks to stop by.
Yes, definitely.
Because now, once again, we have 4 bookstores in Brattleboro, which is kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
But it's feeling healthy again. There for a while, there were only a couple.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great. So shout out to all of the bookstores in town. It's Everyone's Books, Antidote Books, Book Lovers, and Brattleboro Books on Elliott Street. Yes. So all the people who are doing their heart's desire, I think, having their bookstores. Going back to the book again, Where Are the Women? And you've got a great subtitle. A simple guide to the underrepresentation of women in American politics, its causes, its consequences, and what you can do. What can we do?
I think one of the biggest things is being aware of it, and that's one of the purposes of the book, of being aware that this is a problem. Another thing, I have a whole chapter at the very end about the solutions, and I'm trying to remember them.
Good. That's good, though. People will order the book so that they can figure
out
what the
they can
solutions
figure out
are.
how.
Yeah.
It's a secret until you read the book. But I think it's important, and one of the things that I talk about in the book is about people's perception of politics in general, not just of women's perception of it, but I think people in general don't love politics because it's so messy and it's been so polarized that it's really all about conflict and not about compromise these days. And that's a problem for, women aren't gonna, no one wants to run for office, I think. Not many young people want to be involved. And I think one of the things that, I don't think we can give up on politics just because it's so complicated and it's so full of conflict and hostility. And it's important to realize the power of politics and the importance that it has on us. And I think we as a country need to make it better. We need to end the polarization of politics. We need to make it more accessible to people, make it more respectable, about respect and compromise instead of conflict and hostility.
When you talk to kids, to friends of yours or other people or grown-ups, what kinds of conversations are you having with them? I know, we all feel like there are so many divisions. So what's your stand in presenting that?
So I really believe that politics are, potential for change, that they can be used for so many good things. And it's really important that people are equally represented, because if they're not, then their voices and their needs aren't going to be addressed.
That's right.
And I think especially in a democracy, that's, everyone is supposed to be represented. And when not everyone is, then democracy fails to an extent.
The research that you did, and I know you did a lot of research, spent a lot of time doing research. What were the things that made you hopeful?
When I was doing research, I spent a lot of time looking at history and women's history and the history of women in politics, and milestones. And even while women aren't fully represented right now, I think they make up about 28% of Congress. It's so much more than it was maybe 100 years ago. So I think that there is change going on, and people are, there's a lot of powerful women who are running for office and getting elected and making a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that makes me hopeful that this will continue to happen in the future.
Did you run across any people that you really held in great esteem, any women over the years, historical or current?
I think I really admire Becca Ballant because, I know her sort of personally. I know my dad is friends with her wife, and I've seen her around town. I went to the same school as her kids did. So I think I really admire her for just, it's someone that's close to me and close to the town where I live, who's making such a difference in the world.
Yes.
So I really look up to her.
Yes, yes. And knowing her and knowing what she stands for. Yeah. She's pretty straight on.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
She doesn't flip-flop.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Brattleboro a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
You've been in Brattleboro for 17 years now. You've gone to lots of places. You've seen how it's changed even since you were a kid. Could you talk a little bit about that, how you feel that it's changed, or your impressions of Brattleboro?
Yeah, Brattleboro has definitely changed, and I've noticed it. And I also feel like the way that I've noticed it change has been a lot of like me growing up and seeing things differently. Like I remember as a kid, I remember the strolling of the heifers, and I think at one point I was dressed as a cow, and I did a little tap dance in I think Pliny Park. The parade was a really fun time as a little kid. There was the circus spectacular at the Latches.
Yes,
I remember going to that because my dad would be filming it. And that was really fun. So, but also, so it feels, in a sense, there's some things that I don't do anymore or don't happen anymore, and that's sort of a loss. But also, I think as I've grown older, I've found different ways to have fun in Brattleboro. I enjoy going to the works with my friends. I enjoy going to the Latches and seeing movies. So I've noticed that change.
Yes, where you go and where you meet
where
up.
I go and where I meet up.
And do you think there are enough places for kids in town?
I think that there are. If you go out there and you find them, I think there are enough
and resources.
places.
I mean, we have Boys and Girls Club, and Beatniks, of course, which I think is a favorite place, and also different services. Planned Parenthood and Boys and Girls Club has a lot of different things that kids can hook into. So you're feeling like when you go downtown, you feel pretty comfortable.
I do.
And you have enough to do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, you're running
cross country,
cross country, and tennis.
Yes.
So, do you like those a lot?
I do. I really do enjoy those sports. I'm actually co-captain of the tennis team, which I really like having that responsibility. And I think I've had an interesting relationship with sports. I think, as a little kid, I never really, I didn't play soccer, I didn't do any of that. And my first experience was in 8th grade when I played soccer and basketball. And I ended up quitting basketball halfway through the season because I was just feeling so anxious about the sport. I think I was putting way too much pressure on myself. And so I quit, and I sort of had this mindset that I would never play sports again, that I just couldn't do it, my mental health wouldn't let me. But then in 10th grade, one of my friends, Abby, she convinced me to join the tennis team. She said, it's going to be so chill, it's going to be really relaxing, there's no pressure. And so I joined it, and I had such a fun time. It really was just a wonderful environment. So welcoming, and it was just really focused on getting better, not about winning, just on improving. And after that experience, I joined cross country the next year, and then Nordic. So I feel that I've really overcome things to sort of be where I am in my athletic journey.
Very well said. Well, it's interesting too because I think you've got a really interesting and healthy mix of working with people, the newspaper, the different sports, and then doing this book. You're going off to college, going on to higher education. What are the things that you feel that you're going to be getting some information that will be helpful for you and other people?
I want to learn about public policy, and that's a way to make change. More about activism, and less more grassroots activism. I guess. And I don't know. I feel like I don't know all the ways in which I can help, but I really want to know all the ways, and that's something that I want to look for when I go to college.
You listen to music?
I do enjoy listening to music.
You do. That's so great. And what kind of music are you listening to these days?
It sort of depends. I feel like I really like Fleetwood Mac right now. I love Phil Collins. He's like my lucky musician. Like whenever I hear a Phil Collins song on the radio, I know that it's going to be a good day. It's like a good luck charm. I saw The Cure live at a concert this summer, and that's something that I went with my mom and one of my friends. So I feel like music is a way that I connect with people. So yeah.
Taylor Swift, you like Taylor?
I do like Taylor Swift.
Yes.
I think she's really cool.
Yes. And have you seen her videos? I'm assuming you haven't seen her in person.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't. I wanted to go, but I couldn't get tickets.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
I think it's pretty hard to get
Yeah,
tickets
it
for
is.
one thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It is. She can galvanize a group of people.
Yeah, she definitely can.
But you like her songwriting
I do
as
like her
well.
songwriting.
Yeah. And is that something that is that really part of music for you, the songwriting piece?
I like looking at lyrics and trying to figure out what they mean. I also like Tori Amos. I feel like she has really interesting lyrics that I like looking at.
Yeah. Sarah McLachlan, listen to her?
Not really.
She's kind of that era as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of, you're talking about a lot of people like from the 90s or even earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like 80s music. Me and my mom, we have this game that we play. It's like a guess the music, and you have to like hum the song. And it's like 80s. It's all music from the 80s, and I feel like that's a way that we bond, and that's really fun.
It is fun, isn't it? Yeah. So, do you do any songwriting? Have you tried that?
I think I did when I was really little, but
do you play any instruments?
I used to play the flute from I think 4th grade to 8th grade, and I played the piano. I took piano lessons for a while.
Yeah. How'd the pandemic go for you?
The pandemic was tough for me. I think it was very tough for me mentally because, as I mentioned, I was really shy in elementary school and middle school, and when I went into the pandemic, I didn't have a ton of friends that I could like text or converse with like online. So I was kind of completely isolated. It was just me and my family, and I did remote schooling for my freshman year. And I could have gone back, but I was feeling very anxious about going back, so I decided to stay at home. And I think it made it really hard for me to transition back into school. Like I remember I was really nervous about going back to school after being fully remote. And I just felt very lonely and isolated. But I think I went to, after my freshman year ended, I was a counselor at GMC, and I think that really helped. And I went into my sophomore year feeling more like I wanted to try new things. I wanted to expand my horizons and become more outgoing. And one of the first things I did was I auditioned for the musical, and I was in the school musical in 10th grade. And musicals aren't really my thing. I've learned, it's not, I enjoyed being a part of it, but it's not something that I've continued doing. But I think that was a really good experience. It was something I'd never done before. It was something very scary.
Yes.
But I think that was a very good experience. So I think the pandemic was definitely tough, but I also think it sort of changed my life for the better because it, I was so lonely, I was so isolated that it really made me push out of my comfort zone and overcome my shyness in order to make connections. And it really made me, when I didn't have any, it made me realize how valuable connection with other people is.
I was looking up your book online because it is available online.
It is.
It is also available at your dad's bookstore.
Yes.
Other bookstores in town?
It likely will be. We gotta work out that, but it should be available at everyone's books.
Where Are the Women? I think we can remember that title. It's a great title.
Where are they?
And I just want to read a review. There was a little review, and I just love this review. So this is talking about Evie's book, and it says, Kiehle is an expert at explaining her research in an understandable way. She considers many factors and perspectives, making it a phenomenal read! Exclamation point. I'm excited to see what this young writer Kiehle has in store for us next, and I know she will make it big in her career. So, we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
It was wonderful having you on the show, Evie. Thank you so much. And yeah, we look forward to seeing those numbers climb as people read the book. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for being with us this week and finding out about a new author in town, a new writer with a new book that is pretty exciting, and I think it's pretty interesting, and it's going to be a good read for folks. So check out our local bookstores, especially for this book, Book Lovers on Flat Street. Thanks so much. We will be back next time.